97% of startup businesses fail within 10 years. Most businesses in the United States are small business with 2 employees or less. People that I was following were 100% directing me in the wrong direction. A person without goals is going to be lost. I thought it was a proud thing to be doing certain unethical things. The rock bottom was calling my wife from a prison cell. At that time, she had a 9-month-old baby in her arms.
How was your experience working under other veterinarians?
I hated it to death. I did not like how employees were treated. I didn't like the compensations.
How do people get out of that? What would you tell them to avoid?
Oh, first, anybody can become successful. I take advice from people that are the billionaire level.
What is the best piece of advice you think you've gotten that allowed you to scale and be in the situation you are?
It took years for me to realize.
You are a huge proponent for mentorship. You spend over $1 million on investing in yourself. Why is that so important?
When I started, I did have mentors. I just didn't know they were my mentors. They were teaching me the wrong things. And I was learning by default. So I had absolutely nobody that could tell me, hey, this is what I did. This is what it worked or didn't work. I encourage you to do this or not to do this. Or if you do this, you're going to get X. You see, there are formulas for living. There's formulas for working, just like going to school and solving for X, right? If you ever went to school and you're like, okay, if you do A and then you do B, you're going to get C. That's a formula. So there are formulas for living, which I didn't know. I had to learn so hard, the hard way. So whenever I get over this shit, I am going to figure out how to bring other people with me and help them, especially vets, right? I'm a horse veterinarian. And in the horse industry, when I first started, as you were trying to climb up, as one person was trying to climb up, 5 to 10 were actually pushing you down and trying to not get you in their space. That's how it's a very, it used to be a very suppressive industry. They would suppress you down. They didn't want you in that industry. In my space, the veterinarians did not want you to become a vet. They did not want you to succeed. They were actually get a little bit of a enjoyment from seeing your failure. And I think there's a lot of industries like that. I don't think this is the only one. So my goal was always, well, when I get over all this, I'm going to mentor other people so that we can do it together, not just in business, in personal life as well. The people that I was following were 100% directing me in the wrong direction. So a little bit of light. I'm like, okay, this is it. This is the light. Let's bring more people with me.
Nice. What did you have to go through to get out of that? You said shit. You had to go through a whole bunch of shit. What is that?
I grew up with a lot of, a lot of suffering. And from the countryside of Puerto Rico, very dysfunctional family. Ever since I was a kid, I grew up with mental abuse, physical abuse. My dad was an alcoholic. My dad and my mom did not get along. My grandfather was an alcoholic. My uncle was an alcoholic. I would say that the majority of the people that I was around were in a very dysfunctional state. And I never knew anything better. To me, that was normal. People do this all the time. In my family, we're drinking at 13, 14. That's normal. We're fine. So it was very interesting how you just grow up in that normal chaos.
But I like that. I like because people view you, and I'm sure a lot of your audience are going to watch this.
Yeah.
Every day, someone says something extremely positive about you.
Oh, something negative too.
Right. I think people think that you have it all made and you always had it all made.
I don't think they say that. What you get?
No. I don't think they say that. I just think people view you
okay
as you have it made. And so I want to dissect Like, what did you have to go through? Because there's somebody that's watching this, that's going through something right now, and they feel like this is the way. Just as you mentioned, I was born into this. My family will like this. This is the way things are supposed to do. I'm supposed to suffer. I'm supposed to struggle, but that's not true.
Yeah.
How can we help those people?
To me, the rock bottom was calling my wife from a prison cell, telling her, I need you to bail me out. And she, at that time, she had a 9-month-old baby in her arms. And that night I was working. I was supposed to be working, which I was working. Got pulled over for racing, drunk driving plus racing. And I was like, oh, this is normal, dude. Just it's all good. Let me out, right? So I still didn't realize it. But then once you have to make that phone call, then it becomes a little bit of a reality check. And that's when you hit rock bottom. It took years for me to realize that was not normal. I did my probation, I did my rehab. Even after that, I still wasn't realizing that I was not doing the things that I needed to do, that suffering, having bad relationships was not normal, having lawyer relationships was not normal, having drunk driving was not normal. I never realized that those things were not normal. To be honest, I never realized that other people were in the same situation. I thought I was the only one. I thought I was pretty unique. Until recently, you tell me that other people are in the same situation, right? Or we hear other people being in the same situation.
During that time, were you embarrassed?
Oh, hell no. I was proud. Growing up, I thought it was a proud thing to be doing certain unethical things. Mm-hmm. Your friends cherish you and applaud your unethical things, right? Oh, I spent the whole night drinking and now I'm here working half drunk. Yeah, great. Good for you. Oh, I spent the whole weekend doing whatever, sleeping around, drinking, and not doing any kind of productive activity. Yeah, great. That's applauded. That was very applauded. So I felt pretty good. I'm pretty proud of it, actually.
That is a toxic environment that a lot of industries and a lot of people think. I understand what you're saying. I'm Puerto Rican as well. You had the El Campo mindset, right? Like, this is the shit that we do.
Yeah.
I was raised in New York City. And so you have to have this certain persona and you have to have this masculine type of energy. And so you'll be proud of the things that you necessarily shouldn't be proud. And then you start getting into personal development and you're like, damn, I had this shit wrong the whole entire time. What is it about personal development that help you change that mindset?
Let's touch base on the proud thing that you shouldn't be proud, because it was very sad. For example, when I decided to stop drinking, that's when I became embarrassed. You asked me if I was embarrassed before? No. I was embarrassed when I stopped drinking.
Because people are going to view you different.
People would see me different. I wasn't that cool person anymore that was throwing crazy parties.
You shared some stories. Can you share?
One party, my brother and I, we threw some of the coolest parties you could think of, right? Coolest parties. Unlimited alcohol, unlimited anything. And in this particular party, we decided to start riding horses in the street. And we were going full speed without any regards of the considerations or ramifications of what we were doing. Everybody riding drunk, loud music, very annoying the way we look at it now, but we were cool at the moment, right? And all of a sudden we hear a big boom. This particular rider, which was a middle-aged woman, hit a car in our party, flies, I don't know, 8, 10 feet, whatever it is, come down on the glass of the car, breaks the car with her back and her head. This is from the movies. This is something you see in the movie.
Yeah.
Unconscious, drunk, and now she gets airlifted on the helicopter, goes to chance, does not wake up, And here it gets real, right? Because now you sponsoring a party and there's a person who was reckless from what we created, and now this person's not waking up with the real possibility that this person might never wake up. Those are the kind of party we were throwing. And it was that was a big reality check for us as well.
That is insane.
Yeah, literally insane.
And did you continue drinking?
I continued drinking. Absolutely.
Yeah.
We probably backed down on the parties after that.
Yeah.
We did, but we definitely continued drinking. It wasn't until my sons were a little bit grown up. My wife and I were in a real bad space. We started talking about separation. We started talking, and I come from divorced parents. So once we started talking about separation, now it gets real for me, because it's like, holy shit, I don't want to go through I don't want my sons to go through what we went through. And now I started to realize that what's cool, or what we consider cool, is not that cool. Right?
Yeah. Again, I'm going to go back to the young veterinarian, the young person who is viewing this and saying, wow, Alberto Rullan, alcohol?
Yeah.
Partying?
Big time, right? Big time. And no one would think about it. No one would imagine.
No.
Yeah.
And I think this is why you speak about it so often.
Yeah.
You speak about mentorship. You speak about, working on your personal, professional, and financial goals.
Yes.
If someone's partying right now, they're trying to pass time because they're in school and school's very stressful and they're taking out $300,000 in a student loan. What would you tell somebody right now they should be doing?
If I go back to vet school, if I go back to college, if I go back to high school, if I go back to high school with the knowledge that I have right now, I would 100% stop drinking way before I'm 15. That's my number one. If I go back to high school, I would also stop most of the parties. Not all of them. A little party is still good, right? Little party, little dancing still good, but I would stop most of them, and I would dedicate and hyper focus on my goals. I would go back and say, okay, what's my personal goal if I'm in high school? What's my personal goal when I'm 25, when I'm 30? What's my personal goal when I'm my professional goal? And what's my financial goal? And I would start working right there when I'm in high school. If I go back to college, I would do the same thing, start working. And you know how many times I calculated it, 3 days a week. If on average I was drinking 3 days a week during college, that was days I wasn't studying. I wasn't preparing for my future. So that would be Friday, Saturday, Sunday, minimum. Most of the time, I was actually partying Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So if I would take those 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and prepare for the future.
160 days per year.
Right? It's crazy. That's absolutely wild. And I never thought about it until actually very recent, when I completely stopped drinking. I only stopped drinking 7 years ago. And I started hyper-focusing on my goals only about 5 years ago. But I stopped drinking 7 years ago, and I go back. If I would have done this when I was in college, let alone high school, most of my goals will be accomplished by now. And not just that, I'll be a billionaire. Yeah, it's a huge financial implication to consume that much alcohol or drugs or anything.
Time wasted.
Anything that alters your mentality is ridiculous. You don't think those headaches after doing drugs or after doing alcohol, you don't think those headaches are killing neurons? They are.
Yeah. People are still going to do it.
Yeah, they're going to do it. Everybody's going to do it until they realize, either somebody just realize, okay, this is my rock bottom and I want to get better.
And it took for you to go down that slippery slope, that downfall, for you to figure out.
It was a family, right? The fear of losing the family. Plus having also something that a great blessing for me was my wife, because my wife have never gone through any of this. That was not normal for her. So she knew what normal looked like. She knew what it was to actually be a normal person.
Did that prompt fights, like arguments? Yeah. Because she has a way of living, and then you had a way of living, different lifestyles.
All the time. Before I stopped drinking, we would fight every night. We would argue every night about whatever, whether it was the parties or whether it was work or whether it was finances, we would find the right thing to fight about. Yeah, absolutely, 100%. But she knew that was not the right, there was something else beyond that. So she was instrumental on persisting to actually become a normal family. She just didn't know how to do it, but she was persistent on continuing there and giving the right support when needed. That was very important because without her, nothing would have been possible, 100%.
What is the framework if someone's struggling like that? What can they do? You talk a lot about personal, professional, and financial goals.
Yes.
Can that help somebody who is struggling, whether it is with drugs, alcohol, or even with finances? They look at somebody like you who has created incredible success for themselves, but they normally don't see what you had to go through in order for you to get here. That's why this is a very important conversation.
Yeah.
Because people want the success.
Yeah.
They want the accolades. They want the money, but they don't want to do what it takes to get there.
It's the goals. We need to figure out what the goals is. A person without goals is going to be lost. So the goals are extremely important. And for me, I needed to have always 3 types of goals. And I learned this with some of my mentors. Brandon Dawson is a big mentor of mine. And we have personal, professional, and financial goals. Okay, what are the goals? And another big thing for me was, is that a goal or that's a wish? Big difference.
What's the difference?
If you have a wish, it's something I wish I have that, but you're not willing to figure out what it takes to get there. You are not really interested in pursuing it. Like for me, hey, I wish I had. Let's say I wish I had a Bentley. Will I ever do any work to get a Bentley? No. Wish I had it, but never do work for it.
So the difference sounds like a wish is something you desire. A goal is something you desire with action behind it.
Correct, 100%.
A lot of people are wishful thinking.
Wishful thinking, right? Yes.
Wishful thinking. Yes. I want this, I want that, but I'm not willing to put in the work to go get it.
But they think they are willing to put the work.
I don't think so, man. No. I think a lot of people are bullshitters. I think a lot of people live with. I think a lot of people live with fear. Right, they allow fear and judgment. This is why I love speaking to you, because you don't necessarily care about the opinions of others. You're genuine with yourself and you're true to yourself. If you feel like you need to do something, you need to say something, you need to be something, you do that because you feel it, not because you are coerced by public opinion.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. Let's put a pin on that. Let's go back to something you say. You say that the bullshit thing. Mm-hmm. So check this out. Simple example. You go home at night. You're tired. You work 12 hours a night, 12 hours a day that day. You go home and you try to open a drawer to get your underwear after you come out of the shower, a tired shower, right? You open the drawer and the drawer doesn't open. You open the drawer again and that drawer does not open. You try a third time and now you're getting upset. You're getting pissed. And now you pull the drawer again and it still doesn't work. So you get really upset and you pull it really hard and you finally get it out and you're upset and you're in a bad mood and you might even say a bad word or two, very upset about this drawer not opening. And then you get mad at the cabinet. That's the wrong thing to get mad at. The cabinet has nothing to do with it. It's because you didn't estimate properly how much strength you needed to put to open that cabinet. The same thing happens with goals, with wishes in life. You underestimate the effort it takes to actually accomplish a goal. And then you get mad at something else and you say, I never wanted it anymore. I never really wanted it. It was just a wish. I'm going to do something else. Because you underestimated the effort to accomplish that goal. And that's what I think happens more than not. That it's not that people are bullshitters. It's that I have a lot of faith in people. And maybe I'm naive in there. But I have a lot of faith and I think anybody can accomplish whatever they want if they put the proper effort. For example, on myself, I'm by no means the smartest kid in the block. I was not the smartest in the class. I never was. But I was the hardest worker. And there's nobody in my class that would actually work harder than me. So it might have taken the smartest person in the school, it might have taken 2 hours to learn the material. And it might have taken me 4 hours to learn the material, double the time, right? But if he wasn't willing to put those 2 hours, I was willing to put 8. So I was willing to estimate the effort that it took me to learn the material and get it done. And ultimately, once you learn it, you learn it. Doesn't matter how smart or not you are. Ultimately, once you have that particular concept, you have it. And now it's yours. No one's going to take it away from you.
Is that your talent? That you're willing to work harder than most?
100%. 100% my talent. I'm willing to work harder than anybody else.
Why so?
Because I have goals.
So once you understood that mindset, that framework,
then it's a formula. A plus B equals C. I know how much sleep I need to get.
Equals goal.
Yes.
How did someone get into the position that you are in today?
I'm working really hard, right?
Just working hard.
Find the right people. I have to find the right people. I was also willing to get in depth to get knowledge. Because what you learn in school is not enough. In my profession and any profession, I've talked to engineers, I've talked to lawyers, I've talked to architects, you name it. Any profession after school, you don't have what it takes to become successful. You have what it takes to get the foundation
to perform.
Because in reality, let's face it, and this is where I get a lot of enemies. So the people that are teaching us, the professionals, are not necessarily qualified to take us to high levels of success. Because they're not
in the field
at the high level of success where we want to be.
Yeah.
Oh, they might be in the field. Some of them might. Some might not.
But can anybody become successful in your
Anybody can become successful. Anybody can be ethically successful by doing hard work and figuring out how to get done what it takes. And this is why mentorship is so important. Back to your original question, because what will it take for a young professional in my position to actually be where I am? Well, I can tell them the formula step by step, but I cannot tell them how to be above to where I am. That's John Maxwell talks about this on the law of the lid. There's a lid, right? And this is what happened with the professors. Sometimes we finish, sometimes the professors have a lid. They cannot go any further. So the student comes like this, and then now the student is here at this level. So now the student needs to find another mentor that is higher, and that mentor would take the student to this level. And then when the student hits this level, then now this person needs to go find somebody else that is much higher and then brings it higher. Like I can bring you up to my level, and then I can never bring you past my level. That's why I strive so much to actually improve myself, because I want to be able to take my mentees, my students to levels that they have never been. And it's a great challenge actually, because I want to be always better, and better. And that's what I do. I still study, I get mentors, and I find who is at the top level. I take advice from people that are at the billionaire level. Professionally, I look for people who are actually in my field at the absolute top level. And those are the people I want to mentor. I want to be my mentor so that I can help my students or my peers go up to that level.
Wow. That's a great mindset to have.
Yeah.
Most people don't see that. They become intimidated, right? So I from my personal experience, what allowed me to just become better is because I am extremely curious. I ask questions, even if it makes me look dumb. Because like you said, I believe people have answers because they have experience. And the more you can attach to somebody who has experience, the easier it becomes the roadmap for your success.
Yes.
And I grew up in a place where I didn't meet my first successful person until I was 20 years old.
Yeah.
Success to me was selling drugs, like you said, rapping, or playing some ball, some type of sports. And I remember being younger, seeing 12 o'clock midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, you were able to see infomercials. You remember what infomercials was?
Absolutely. Of course, there was a person selling, and then the person would start selling. I remember one day I bought a beef jerky maker from this guy, which I used 3 times, but he convinced me that the best beef jerky could be done with this meat dehydrator. And so absolutely, you had to call, and then you call a number, and you order it, you give them the address and all that, and they send it to you. Of course, I know.
Right? I was 17, 18 years old, and it was about real estate, how to buy property, but they sent me a stack like this. I wasn't going to read that. But that allowed me to believe that I had a burning desire to be an entrepreneur, but I never had mentorship. My first job was working in a fast food restaurant. Day one, clocking in, I said, hell no, there's no way that I can possibly do this for the rest of my life. It wasn't until I started hearing other people's stories and getting mentors and listening to personal development that I realized that I'm capable of doing that. The reason I mentioned earlier that I think people are bullshitters because I was once a bullshitter. Right? I knew what I wanted. I knew the goal. I knew how to get there, but I wouldn't do it because I was so afraid. I think people let this boogeyman in their head stop them from living the life they truly desire. Was there a time in your life where you had like overwhelming fear?
My biggest fear was fear of failure. But then I realized that was actually a problem. I learned that was the wrong fear to have, because the trick is to fail as many times as it takes in order to actually learn and figure out what works. Because of my fear of failure, I make way many more mistakes. So I held myself back many times because I was afraid of failing. In many ways. Let's say in dating, right? So everybody can relate to date. I would never go and approach a lady and ask her for her number or something if I thought she was going to reject me. That's fear of failure.
Yeah.
But why did you see, and I couldn't figure out, why did you see a man that is significantly less attractive, significantly have less qualities that you think you have, all of a sudden he gets the model in the room? It happened to me in the bars all the time. And I was like, how does this guy does this? And then I realized it's because he has 100 of them when I was asking one. I was asking the one that I thought was going to actually go out with me.
Wow. I can relate to this so much. My first business was in network marketing, and I was always recruit under. And what that means is I wouldn't speak to somebody who was qualified to get into the business and sell, become a salesman, because I felt like they were too overqualified, right? Because I was afraid of the rejection, right? No, this is a scam. Don't do this. And so I was always recruit lower. And that's exactly what you're explaining. Like, I won't go for the model. I'll go for the average girl because I have a better shot.
Fear of failure. So in my professional life, I had the same thing. I was very afraid of failing. I worked really hard not to fail, but if I would have failed earlier, I would have probably been in a different position where I am right now.
Yeah.
Now, there has to be some sort of respect for failure. You don't want to keep failing and failing and failing, right? You want to learn from it.
Absolutely.
You don't want to continue making the same mistake over and over again. You make a mistake once, make a mistake. Hopefully you don't make it twice, but most of us do. And then don't make it a third time.
Yeah, you're supposed to fail. Yeah, that's true. But if you don't learn from your failure, you're failing. You're supposed to learn. You're supposed to take some nuggets from what you do. You are the co-owner of Performance Equine Veterinarian Service.
Yes.
And the owner of Equine Performance Innovative Center.
Yes.
When you became a veterinarian, did you want to own your own business?
I had that goal when I was in high school, 9th grade. And the teacher asked, what do you want to do when you grow up? Everybody gets this question, right? You're in middle school, high school. What do you want to do when you grow up? And I always said I want to have a horse hospital, and I wanted to be a pilot. Ever since I was a kid, that's all I wanted to do. And the goal was always there. Did I abandon? Or I abandoned it back and forth. I didn't. I always knew the goal, but I don't want to see. I never.
Still committed.
I needed the commitment thing. Yeah, exactly.
That's what I was talking about earlier. So when I mentioned people view you and they feel like you have it all together, it's because you had a plan since high school to get into position. Obviously, you went through a whole bunch of stuff. There's something that you don't talk about often is how was your experience working under other veterinarians?
Oh, great. Yes, I hated it to death. Oh, yeah, I hated it. Working on the other vets. Yeah, that was one of the rough experience of my life.
Yeah.
Because I had one of the things that I hated the most is how other vets ran their practices. I did not like how the businesses were ran. I didn't like how the employees were treated. I didn't like the compensations. I just didn't like the way the veterinary businesses in general were run. When I started working for somebody else, I was very vocal about it. But instead of doing something about it, I would bitch and complain. And I had the opportunity to change the industry back then, but I didn't. I just decided to bitch and complain and drink, rather than working towards the betterment of the profession.
I think a lot of people can learn from that. A lot of people may feel stuck. You know, the people that we want to speak to, they have this like burning desire to maybe become an entrepreneur, but they are afraid. So what they do, they complain and they bitch.
Most of us, what we do is, we're not happy with our employer. We're not getting enough money. We're going to start our own business. We're going to start our own business because we're not happy with our employer and we want more money. And then now all of a sudden we are a beginner in business. And that's when the real problems begin. That's when the real problems actually become real, because now they're yours. And you realize what that business owner, that employer was actually going through. That's why it's extremely important to figure out who's going to be your employer. And there's nothing wrong with with working for somebody. If I could find somebody right now, that could show me the path to get where I want to get, I'll be their employee. I have no problem with it. There's absolutely no problem with being somebody's employee, as long as there is a collaboration to achieve your personal, professional, and financial goals. And then you can be an entrepreneur with them, join them in their journey and make them better.
I love that you said that, because that's what you do for the people that work for you. You allow them the space for them to grow, for them to be vocal, but also even invite them to become partners.
Yes.
Why is that important, especially in the industry that you are in? I know you talked about being suppressed, and this industry has been the same for hundreds of years, maybe, I'm assuming.
Not hundreds of years, but
for a long time.
For a long time.
It was almost like gatekeepers. That's how it sounds.
Yes.
And now that you have part of the gate,
yeah,
you're kicking it down and you're giving young veterinarians an opportunity to understand the business, understand what it takes to be a good veterinarian, but also equipping them with the tools. This seems like is your mission in life. Why so? Because the pain for you was so hard that you want to make sure that the next person doesn't go through that.
My mission with horses is to help horses achieve their peak performance abilities as a veterinarian. But my vision is to actually help 400 equine professionals achieve their personal, professional, and financial goals. That is my vision. And we're going to do that by helping 1 million horses. So it all aligns together. And the only way I could do that is if we change the industry and we actually collaborate. Recently, I had a specialist come from Europe, and we were talking about interviewing and collaborating and all that. And I asked this guy, why did you take the trip? Why were you willingly took the trip and came here and spent a week with us? He said, because I really wanted to see it with my own eyes that you were doing what you guys are saying in social media. Like, he couldn't believe it, that what we're doing actually exists.
Wow.
Yes. Nobody in the industry believed it. 2 years ago, there was this veterinarian I find this vet at a particular sale, and horse sales, and she's bitching and moaning about her job, just bitching and moaning how unhappy she is. I said, let me ask you a question. Because when you were applying for your job, I had an offer out there, and your current employer had an offer, and they were very similar. As a matter of fact, mine tell you exactly that you were not going to be in the position where you are right now. Exactly in that job description. And she's like, yeah, but I didn't think that was real.
What?
I didn't think that was possible. That's to the extent of this profession being so suppressive towards a young generation that they don't believe it. And they're willing to take all their jobs that are way more detrimental to their life and their career because they just don't think it's real.
Wow.
Yeah.
You are part of like the 1% equine veterinarians, right? You have like a specific license.
We have a specific specialty. We have specific competence and skills that we train to have. I don't know if it's 1%, but it's close probably. Yeah.
Is education important, not only as a veterinarian, but just like as a human being? Is that really important to you?
100%. Education is everything.
Yeah, so that's the reason I asked that question, because a lot of people that follow you are in school.
Yeah.
And so they are anxious. I have 2 more years. I have a year.
I know.
And then they get out of school and then they flatline.
I sponsored this educational event about entrepreneurs in the industry at a particular university. And this particular girl was like, she told me the following phrase: I cannot wait to get out of school because I'm so burnt out. That's horrible.
Yeah.
Think about this. I cannot wait to get out of school because I'm so burnt out in school. That in itself has so many wrong implications. If you are already so tired when you're in school, wait till you get out, because when you get out is when the real education happens. And if you don't continue, and this happens in all professions, lawyers, architects, engineers, anything, construction, anything, you have to come out of school, of the university, to actually learn the profession that you study for. And it is critical. I personally dedicate 1 hour every day to studying and 3 to 4 hours every weekend. And still, I feel like I don't know enough.
That's so good that you said that, because somebody who...
They don't believe it.
Yeah.
The kids don't believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's also setting these kids up for failure, no? Right? Because they go all these years going to school, getting out, thinking that once school is done, that's it. Now all I have to do is work. But the real work starts after school.
The real work starts right after school. Yeah, the real school starts after school.
And you have said this publicly many times, that people burn out, and the suicide rate in the veterinary space is pretty high. Is it because of burnout? Is it because of finances? Is it because of the drugs that people...
I can tell you about myself. I can tell you that I was depressed. I wasn't making enough money.
Where did the depression come from?
Great question.
Where did
yeah, that's a great question.
Because you dreamed, like, to give people more context,
Yeah.
you had a horse when you was a kid.
Yeah.
The horse died. You
Yes.
had a vision.
Yes.
You wanted to become a veterinarian because there was no veterinarian
Yes.
in the area.
Yes.
And you stood committed to that.
Yes.
But then you get the opportunity and you get depressed.
I know, right? And where does it come from? And I'm confident telling you that it happened because of circumstances that happened through my life that I didn't know how to handle. And whether they were personal, most of them, professional, probably very little. We just mix them all together, mix those experiences, and those experiences stay in our subconscious. And now anything can trigger them and reminds us I don't know, when our parents will beat me up, or when my dad was beating my mom, or when it was reminding me of all the past experiences that I had that got me in a state that was not healthy. And then you go and try to find that mental health in recreational activities. So that's probably where the depression was coming from past experiences that were stimulated at that particular time. And then too many, because it becomes too many. There are too many at the same time.
It's a vicious cycle that a lot of kids go through, especially in college, right? You have this issue that you never close a chapter until the real life experience reminds you of that. And then you take a depressant or a stimulant to help you get over time. Then you wake up the next day and repeat that cycle. That's so unfortunate.
At least that's what I think was happened to me.
Yeah.
I don't know if it happens to everybody else.
I've always wanted to ask you this question. Could it possibly be that, especially for like small animal veterinarians, that you see these beautiful, amazing puppies, cats come in, you get a hit of dopamine, and then 5 minutes later, you have to euthanize, kill an animal. Yeah. And it kind of fucks with your emotional state, your internal dialogue.
Why do you, let's think about, why is death a bad thing?
If you tell that to a animal owner, what do you think they would say?
I don't know. It's a true question. The question is if death was such a bad thing, why
do we experience it?
All of us have to go through it.
It's inevitable. So are we selfish? And I'm kind of
now we're gonna get in philosophize. now we can philosophize all we want, but if you think about, we also have a mighty fear of losing something, mighty fear of losing somebody, and when we put an animal to sleep, we get sad because we are re-stimulated by some sort of past death, that we lost somebody, and we know what the other person is feeling, so we are afraid that we are losing somebody, or somebody else is losing somebody, and losing that precious animal that we're never gonna see it again. That's my thought. But now, could that be adding to the depression situation? It could, but it's something that we accept is gonna happen when we go through vet school, right? Because one of our beautiful things is that we could actually end suffering. How many of us has a family member in bed that cannot move, that is in pain, in constant pain, suffering? Is that life? Is that real life? Well, we as veterinarian could actually help that animal pass and end that suffering. Yeah, we get sad and all that, but we can actually, it's a help that it's a privilege and a help that we can to help that animal pass. So when you tell me that if the suicide rate or the depression comes from being in different emotional states, maybe. The way I look at it, it's just a different way to look at it, right? The way I look at it is we're helping that particular animal end suffering.
That's such an interesting way to look at it. With all the education that you have, is there something right now that you feel like you've been avoiding that you should be doing?
I think so. That's a great question. That's a good insight over there. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. And if you face that fear or whatever it is, what do you think it would unlock for you?
Well, let me publicly tell you. What do I avoid? I know for a fact that for me to achieve my goals, I have to transition out of what I'm doing right now. And that's the biggest fear, probably one of the biggest fears of my life right now.
So for the people that don't understand what you mean, explain it. So you're the owner and operator.
So right now, if you want to really make a difference and be an entrepreneur, you have to work on your business, not in your business. So right now, I work on both. I work in my business, I work with animals, and I get paid to do that. And I work on my business at the same time I'm building a business and growing it. So I do know at some point soon in my life, I have to transition and work 100% on my business. And that's definitely my biggest fear right now, or at least one of my biggest fears, because I grew up wanting to be a vet, touch the animals, and I get a lot of satisfaction from touching a horse. Like I get crazy satisfaction from working on it
because you love what you do.
Yeah,
I don't think somebody in your caliber would have went this far and this wide if you didn't love what you do.
yeah, correct. I agree with that. So letting that go is something that I struggle with on a daily basis.
Because your identity is wrapped around being a doctor.
100%. Yeah, 100%. It's wrapped around the horse. It's wrapped around touching the horse. Yeah, my identity is wrapped around touching a horse. Yes.
And so you will have to transition to 100% business owner.
100% business owner. Yes. Yes. So by the next time we have a podcast like this in 3 or 4 years, I should not be working with horses if I'm reaching the goals that I want to reach.
That's the operational trap that most businesses get stuck in. And most businesses don't survive. You share this often. 86% of businesses fail.
About 97% of startup businesses fail within 10 years. 66% fail within 5 years. And 97% of them never grow past 13 employees. 87+% of equine business, and actually most business in the United States, are small business with 2 employees or less. Those are true statistics.
How do people get out of that? Let's say let's say there's a veterinarian that bought a truck, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they're excited. I'm going to start my business. I got the equipment. I got a nice setup. I'm going to go knocking on doors the way you did.
Yes.
What would you tell them to avoid?
Oh, first, always get paid.
What is that?
Always get paid.
What does that mean?
First, always get paid. When I had that much passion for business,
You would do it for free?
I was doing it not for free. I was doing it with a handshake hope that person will pay me whenever they got money.
How many people owe you money now?
If everybody that I have ever worked for has paid me, I could be retired in a Caribbean island, very comfortable, very comfortable.
I love that you said that because people view veterinarians as nonprofit organization
Yes.
people.
Yes.
So they expect you to do something. I expect you to fix my horse. I expect you to fix my animal, and it's not supposed to be about the money.
Yes.
You've made a significant imprint on the identity of a veterinarian because you are a unicorn. Most people don't focus on a business. They just focus on growing their expertise.
And to my knowledge, I am the only equine veterinarian that is outspoken about money.
Yeah.
That talks about how we need to be compensated for our work. We all say it in our conferences. We all talk about it in our in a private conference, sort of. But we are the only one. I'm the only one, to my knowledge, that actually talks about it in public. As a matter of fact, I was at this meeting with a particular university, and we were talking about what are we going to tell the students when we mentor them, when they want to become vets. What are we going to tell them? And at one point, this particular high up executive told us, you can tell whatever you want, just make sure you never talk about money.
Why is it so taboo?
Right? It's crazy, but it was. And after that moment, I never got into that meeting again.
Why is money so important?
The reason money is important is because it's very difficult to go to the grocery store and buy anything without money. Not just the grocery store. To my knowledge, there's not many places you can go and acquire anything without money. Now, we can acquire less of something and spend less money, but we can never acquire anything without money.
When did that hit you as a veterinarian? Because they don't teach that.
I think I was, 29, 30 years old as a professional working, and I'm traveling to Puerto Rico, and I am going with some friends to the bar. We were drinking, dancing, and all of a sudden I have to budget my drinking. And I see this kid that just came out of just came out of college, of a 4-degree college, and this kid had $500 in his pocket. And he was, yeah, let's buy drinks, let's do this. And I look at myself and I don't have $100 to afford my drinking. So that's when it actually hit me hard. I didn't have enough money to sustain the quality of life I wanted. At that moment, that was my quality of life that I wanted. I was like, this is it.
That's the good shit you got out of drinking.
I'm going to make money.
Yeah, that's the good.
Yeah, not to speak, when I grew up, we never buy steaks at home, right? We could never buy steaks. We always had to eat chicken. And in the grocery store, we had a budget also for our cereal. You remember the Frosted Flakes, right? So you go to the aisle, there was Frosted Flakes. It was like the tiger guy.
Mm-hmm. Tony the Tiger.
Does he still exist?
Yeah.
Anyway, so you got Tony the Tiger, and you got the one with sugar, the one without sugar. And I never forget this day where I really wanted the Raisin Bran and the granola. And my mom tells me the only budget is for the flakes, not even the Frosted Flakes. I got so mad. And I said, you know what? In my house, we will never, ever miss granola when I grow up. And so far that is, you can go to my cabinet. It's full of granola. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's such a profound moment. Often moments that people overlook.
Well, you don't see it when you're in it. You see it years and years later. You think about it years and years later, and you're like, yeah, I told that to my mom. I will always have granola. And I'm not going to buy pork chops. I'm going to buy ribeye. You don't think about that.
Wow. What is the best piece of advice you think you've gotten that allow you to scale and be in the situation you are?
Oh, it has to be, find somebody that is where you want to be.
That is the most important thing.
Yeah, I think so. Find somebody. Yeah. Because from there, that person can help you say, okay, to be here professionally, you have to do this. To be here personally, you have to do this. Or to be here financially, you have to be this. You might need to get many mentors, right? You might have to get a financial one, a personal one, and a professional one. Because for me as a vet, it's very difficult to find a top-level veterinarian who has never been divorced, who has professional kids, who doesn't drink, who has their personal life the way I want it to have it. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying this is the way I want it to be. So for me, it was very difficult to find somebody in my profession that met those qualifications. So I had to find somebody away from that. And then professionally, very few of the veterinarians that are in the top field are willing to share financially what their financial success is and what they did to actually get there. And on top of that, when I studied them, they didn't reach the success I wanted to reach. So I needed to find somebody else that had the financial success that I wanted to have.
Are you open with what you do in business?
I'm very open. Everybody in our business, every morning, we tell our numbers to everybody. Yes, every morning they know exactly where we are, and everybody all of our employees, our sons, our daughters. My brother has daughters, so our sons, our niece, everybody knows where we are, financially and professionally, and what we need to do to get to the next level.
Why is that important to build a culture like that, where most companies don't do that?
Yeah, no, I don't think anybody does it.
Yeah.
The reason we do it is because we want the team to see, one, whether we're doing good or bad. Second, that they can see themselves in the organization, and they can see themselves helping the organization to get where the goals want to be, where the goals are. And if they can see themselves and take ownership of that organization, then they will do whatever it takes to improve themselves in such a point that the organization improve, and then everybody moves up together.
That's incredible right there. I work with a lot of people, not a lot. I work with quite a few people who have big organizations, and I don't see that. I see quite the opposite.
Yeah, they hide it.
Not only they hide it, I think it's very key. I think you can get more out of people if you expose what they want.
Yeah.
and show that they can align with what we do so we can go together. Most companies just want to squeeze.
Yeah, you're right.
That's why I hate it. I was an organized crime investigator for 10 years.
That's awesome.
I've learned everything that I possibly can, made as much money that I possibly can. They wanted more, but they weren't willing to pay me more. And that's when I realized, like, man, do I want to do this shit for the rest of my life? I was like, no. And so I started a really small business. And I realized that it wasn't about the business. It was about who I was becoming in the process, learning about sales, learning about marketing, learning about media and all these other attributes. And then I became in love with this thing that we do here, because what changed my life was when somebody told me a story that was similar to mine, except they accepted their story much sooner. That's what allowed me to grow tremendously. It was an overnight light bulb switch for me. I became deaf when I was 13 years old, just woke up, completely deaf. Puerto Rican mom, worked 2 jobs, didn't know anything about money, business, none of that. Instead of going to a regular school, I had to go to a deaf school where I had to learn sign language. Everyone around me had some sort of disability, blind, paralyzed. It was the crazy experience. I thought I was dreaming every single day. And for that reason, it imprinted in my head that I'm different, and I hated that feeling like I am different. And for 15 years, I was very insecure, low self-esteem. I refused to be in big rooms because I was afraid that I had to ask somebody to repeat themselves. And so a friend of mine, his name is Rob, shared his story. He became deaf. He's an account manager for Nassau, owns 2 gyms, a restaurant. And I'm like, how? He's like, well, I never thought I was different. I just didn't believe that.
I like
and I'm
that.
like, oh shit. We become our worst enemies. We become the barrier to our dreams. The reason I ask all these questions is because I know there's a student right now laying down in bed watching this like, wow, Alberto's a regular human being, a human being that's consistent. He knows what he wants and he's willing to put in the work to get there. How do you think we can help this one person? What are some few words that we could share right now with the person who has not quite figured out what they want, how they're going to get there, or who they are?
Well, this person needs to reach out to us and say that. Now, that's not going to happen.
It's not.
That's. I have never, in 20 years, no one has ever come and told me that. 20 years of being an open book. No one has ever come and tell me, I am here, I'm struggling with this. What does it take to overcome this? No. So, but that would be the best advice that you can give.
Yeah.
Right. My hope is that that person has the proper goals set up, and that is continues to look into personal development and start getting into books.
What books you recommend?
John Maxwell. Just follow John Maxwell. That's the number one. If you're in that position, you get into John Maxwell and you start getting into leadership, and you start with your own leadership. You start learning about yourself. He has so many of them, but the 21
Laws of Leadership.
The 21 Laws of Leadership probably was the first one I read. It's called 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. But then after that, I branched out and I started reading all of his books. He's written over 100 books so far. And the most recent one that I'm reading is about failure. It's how to get the most out of your failures. And he has written many others called Failing Forward. And those books will start getting you into the chain of continue your personal development. But that would be, hopefully, this person grabs any of these books. And from there on, if this person really internalizes these teachings, the rest will be history. Then it will be reaching out to us with the proper questions. I'm looking for the right mentorship. And we'll be able to actually elevate that person to next levels that this person never thought before.
That's so good. What does the future look like for you and the business?
We're going to change the industry. We're doing something no one has ever done before. We are bringing wealth to veterinarians, which no one has ever done that before in this planet, to my knowledge. And we are helping 1 million horses reach their peak performance abilities. We are helping horses live, perform. We're fixing things that have not been fixed in the past. When I was a little kid, my dad was riding my horse. He was hit by a horse. He was hit by a truck. The truck broke his legs, and they had to put down the horse because no one could fix his legs. So we are changing that, where more often than not, these horses can actually get fixed. And in our ecosystem, it's all about the horses. But we also, as you know, we also work with dogs and cats. We are doing it in the small animal clinic as well. So helping animals is going to be our passion, and it's going to be our way of actually helping people.
Is there a question that I didn't ask that I should have asked?
Let's dig. Are we going into the personal, professional, or financially? Which area?
We covered a lot of mindset. We talked a little bit about finances. We talked about personal. We talked a little bit about everything. What do you think the people that watch you will want to know?
Do we ever mean harm? This is a major point of contention amongst any professional. If you go into social media right now, what percentage of social media is negative in your mind? Just give me a guesstimate. I'm going to write a number here. You tell me what you think. What percentage of social media is negative?
I would like to say 50-50 because I'm a delusional optimist. I focus more on the positive than the negative. But to be realistic, I would say 60-40 negative.
Okay. I wrote 80. I believe 80% has some negativity in it.
Yeah.
And one of the things I wish is that people realize that most of humans are actually good people, and we don't mean harm. And there could be some sort of miscommunication or misunderstanding. But I see in social media many attacks to myself or other veterinarians, friends of mine or colleagues, attacking and trying to downgrade our name and our reputation. And we don't know exactly what that is, but most of the time it's probably because they're upset for some reason. So that has become the new challenge for professionals and for veterinarians, where recently in Nevada, there was a veterinarian that was accused of doing something to a horse, and he made a mistake, no question about it, but the attacks were so hard that they suspect he actually suicided himself because of it. I am sure that this person was having many other issues. This is just what filled the cup, right? But something that we didn't cover is the realization that we all need to have, that most people are actually good people. And we get into this business to help animals, not to hurt them. And many times in social media, I see many attacks on equine professionals or any other professionals attacking us or attacking them, portraying the picture as if we are criminals. And that's not necessarily the case. No question about it, there's a lot of criminals out there. But social media has become such a platform to attack and downgrade professionals. And that's something that I have been fighting against as well. And I have been helping other veterinarians overcome that because it happened to me.
Yeah.
And I was able to overcome it. And I have the tools to overcome it. So if you are a veterinarian and you're going through something like this, definitely reach out to me because I am going to be helping you out significantly, or other professionals as well.
Yeah, I think social media and the access that we have as humans now, everybody thinks they're a professional. And so they get to call out your flaws
Yeah.
Someone who's sitting in the couch, not doing shit, eating a donut, can call out your flaws while you're actually trying to help an animal.
Yes.
And we see that in every profession. I just think maybe veterinarians take it to heart.
We take it to heart because we really, really want to help our patients.
Yeah.
And we don't do good with that type of criticism because we are very attached to our profession.
Is there a group or something that you are a part of or have where
You know what? I don't know. No, I'm not. We give support to all of our colleagues when it happens, and as soon as I see it somewhere with a colleague, the first thing I do is give him a call, and I make sure that, hey, I've been there. I know what it takes. It will pass. But the attacks in social media are becoming very difficult for us.
any last words you want to share?
Well, thank you, man.
No, thank you, man. It's been an honor and pleasure. I do want to say this. I want to preface with this. You gave me an opportunity 2 years ago to work with you when I knew shit about nothing. And that opportunity led to me making $1 million, getting a building, and changing my whole entire families. And not that I made it, but it was all I needed was the door open. And you did that for me. And I see everything that you're doing, and I commend you. I look up to you.
Thank you.
And I try to follow you any way that I possibly can. So you giving me an hour of your time means a lot to me. I think the people watching, the people that watch you are going to learn so much from this and feel more connected.
Good.
So
Good.
I hope you continue to do podcasts and share who you are, share your journey, because it becomes the roadmap to other people's success.
I just hope that your 1 million becomes 10 million.
Yes.
All right.
There you go. Appreciate it.